Hey guys, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Commander Cockins, and we are doing something fun today. We have no jokes, we're just going straight into it. I flipped the script there, Stuart. You expected so much of me, and I've let you down. Just
Yes.
like technology on board the Enterprise, let the crew of the Enterprise
Oh.
down. As we learned in this, there we go. As we learned in episode 4, the Enterprise, not the pride of the Federation fleet, but a well-respected one of the 12 Constitution classes, was disabled, and more so, it was by the signals detected. We sort of know that already, but they've double confirmed it was in the detecting the Red Angels. They're the only ship to be affected, and we got this nice bit of interesting retcon slash canon linking slash let's quickly try and fix some stuff we did wrong here in Discovery. As number one beams aboard and gives us her spiel. What do you think? What happens? And what does this mean in the grand scheme of Star Trek, Stuart?
As you know, they've been using holographic communications technology, which is very ahead of its time, literally.
And
for
abandoned
the
in
era.
DS9. It was started in DS9, abandoned in DS9.
Yes.
For
'Cause
communication, anyway.
It was just weird.
Yep.
So anyway, number one beams aboard Discovery and starts her exposition dialogue, which is fine because it's very much like her character would do.
Mm-hmm.
She's very to the point. But she says we have system-wide failures, cascading failures all through the helm, the navigation, impulse and warp units, whatever. And then it leads immediately into Pike, saying that the holographic communication system is a pain, and essentially we need to rip it out and only use view screens from now on. So, but only the Enterprise is affected, so I don't know. Maybe the Enterprise, you know how I always say the Enterprise is like a character?
Mm-hmm.
It's like my favorite character. Maybe she's just allergic to the holographic communications displays, so it affected her systems. I don't know. Go with this. Just that the holographic communications will not be used aboard the Enterprise.
And that's the reason we don't see them in many years, and then I guess in the refit era, and I guess in the A era, and I guess in the Excelsior era, quite well.
I think
in the C era, and the B era, and the...
I think it's going to get phased out fleet-wide for a reason. I think they're going to make a point of that by the end of the season, that all ships are not going to stop using holographic communications.
Now, it's funny, actually, even in the Kelvin universe, they didn't do that. They stuck with view screen tech. That's kind of interesting. Because they didn't have the tech, and they were more advanced.
There was holographic technology in Star Trek 6. Izzet Bohr had her holograph of her face above the table, or Chancellor. No, it was his daughter, and then she faded away, and then they rolled out the map. So it's not unprecedented in prime time to have holographic tech. Even TNG had it on Picard's desk.
I mean,
and the conference table.
Obviously, they have holotech. I mean, even in Enterprise, they have the floating balls that they shoot. They're holograms. Well, they're projections. You know, the technology's been around for a long time. It's just how do you use it? And certainly, you know, cross-galactic, real-time. I mean, the technology needed to send a real-time hologram at 30 frames a second, you know, where you can see and hear and touch and move from across the Federation, from, you know, is mind-boggling. How? I mean, are there hundreds of relay stations piggybacking? I mean, at what, you know what I mean? It creates these, especially in TOS, when even getting a signal, a standard text signal to Earth took days, weeks, months, and yet in Discovery it can be real time from Earth to, you know, it really just ruins a lot of the distance stuff. Now, the idea of holograms is absolutely fine, and I can totally buy that the president's desk and the Chancellor of the Colonial Empire's desk both have, you know, special diplomatic holograms, because it's, you know, this is our private communication channel. It's better than us, you know, you know what I mean? Like, the president has that tech in his office. You know what? He would have that tech. He's the president of the United Federation of Planets. Sure, why not? But we see, obviously in DS9, the idea of that inter-ship, replacing the look at a screen to talk to a person, tried it, failed, abandoned, because it's a whole different level, you know, and full real time. Not, you know, and that wasn't even see through. I believe that was because the effect was too complicated. They just did, you know, an actor. And so it's certainly weird that Discovery made such a big and quick thing, and they must have known that was completely against canon and completely against the ideals of what communication is. The distance factor is a big part of what special made Enterprise interesting. I mean, there's plot points of where they have to drop these beacons just to call Earth. it was a plot point being out of contact in all of season 3, you know, and so to have it be this abundantly obvious is a real problem in Discovery, and so I like that they addressed it even more. You know, in episode 3, Pike was negatively tut by his friend. Are you still using them? Oh, you're still using, you know, only screens? And we were kind of hoping that they'd lose the holograms eventually, just as a... There are reasons that fans have thought of, and so to break it down to say, no, Pike's weird and only his ship is a bit weird. I mean, it's a reason. It's not a very good reason, but it's a reason. But then you wonder, well, why did Kirk... Because Kirk didn't serve under Pike. So he was always... That would have meant that Kirk was always used to having holograms, and yet he chose his ship for over 5 years to not have holograms, whereas he was totally within his rights to add holograms. But he didn't. So you're telling the coincidence factor that 2 captains of the Enterprise both didn't want holograms, and the chief engineer didn't push for them, and you know what I mean? It raises more questions by being stupid. And then again, the Enterprise A, or the refit, why didn't when the ship was being upgraded heavily, why didn't they add holograms?
I think you're looking too far into it. I think
the
Enterprise is going to rip it out as a retcon, whatever, and then eventually something's going to be said in a line of dialogue that we got rid of that by the end of the season because whatever reason. Like I said,
too hackable is the classic.
Yeah, too hackable would be a good one. I mean, you hack into the system, you create a tactile holographic projection for a second, you can push some buttons, destroy a ship, whatever. Something like that happens, you're going to get rid of this holographic technology pretty damn quick.
Or like you can't encrypt that much data, but you can encrypt a single screen-to-screen transmission, and so it's just not worth it. And then everyone got used to it over 100 years. But this is one of the things whereas TMP or TOS TMP, they didn't address the Klingons. It was just, okay, update. As soon as you address it in the lore, you actually open yourself up to all these problems. So now they've addressed it, it's like, oh, well now it's a thing, so why wasn't it? Why didn't Kirk want it? Why wasn't it on the A, or the refit, or the B, or the C, or the, you know, that's why it's kind of best. It's just visual reboot and leave it at that. And now they're doubling back. So now they've got to do a cool invention. But I love the hackable idea, because it's so simple, so elegant. And then, you know, all the ships have this ability, but, you know, they don't. Or you know, Red Angel, wouldn't it be kind of fun if at some point we see a third alien villain race, at some point, like the Romulans, and we learn that, yes, the hologram technology, just like Weapon Enterprise, is, you can send viruses. It's a completely, you know, exploitable subsystem, and even just having that subsystem is a way in. Like the Wrath of Khan, sort of, you know, if you know they've got this technology, you can abuse it. So therefore, if any ship has it, these multiple races can just disable you. And so at that point, it's like, oh, everyone rip them out. And it's not tactically viable.
It's got to be. You got to think too. If it is easily hackable, you could create a hologram and just check out monitors on the ship anywhere you want. You could also flood the enemy ship full of holograms to distract people. You know, just how many holographic projectors are there? How many can they create? You could just flood their ship with holographic projections.
Well, I mean, that's the joke. There aren't holo projectors on the D, on the C,
I know.
On the B,
but there is on
the
the Prometheus.
Yes, that's
all
a big
over the
deal.
ship.
So, again, they're doubling down because they are holograms. That's why it works fine to have like a little, you know, a desk. Like if it had been as simple as a desk that raised up a little podium in the middle of the bridge, and a little hologram like Vader in, you know, Empire, and that's a hologram. Like, oh, okay, cool. Doesn't add anything, but yeah, okay. But having, you know, it's just it's a lack of thought. Well, no, it's not. It's a deliberate event, because all those CG artists spend time hand animating and all that stuff. You know, so it takes hundreds of hours to do over the course of the season, but it's a lack of caring about internal consistency, which they're trying to fix, but it actually opens up more questions. That's why you sort of don't address it is almost better than do address it. They've put themselves into even more of a corner now.
Yeah, and you got to keep in mind too that the original displays on the Enterprise for the refit and for the Enterprise D did have holographic technology built into the view screen, because there's a holo grid, and when they change camera angles on the bridge and the D, you can see the face from different angles. So it's a 3D image that's set back. It's like watching 3D TV. So that is still holographic technology. It's just not projecting it. It's on the screen, but it's 3D, so you can change your relative aspect to the thing. So
yeah, one of the most interesting things about technology is its limitations. Like, of course, they have holograms of some kind, but the way and where you can't use them is what makes it interesting. So yeah, that was cool to see. And I think there was even a shot in TOS when they were 3D holograms. So yes, having it in the view screen is a totally different thing. Cool. But then now that doesn't mean as much, and la la la, and
yeah. Anyway, they're trying to fix it, and at least they fixed it. They addressed it for the Enterprise, and now that Pike's in charge of Discovery, we won't see any of that crap on Discovery now until Pike's gone, at least. And I think they are going to cover it up with a line of dialogue at some point, just saying we just decided to scrap the whole experiment, because it's probably going to say it was an experimental thing that was like a year in, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, looking forward to how they fix that. It's one of those things that really bugged me about this iteration of Trek being set in this era and having that tech was just a little much. So hopefully it's been addressed. Hopefully it'll be fixed.
Yeah, it's just, it would have been nice. It would have been interesting to see if this team had been in charge of season 1, what they might or might not have done. Because now having to fix what was the show? Fix what once went wrong. What was that?
Oh, Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
And to go back right what once went wrong.
Perfect. Yeah. Exactly. I don't know.
Scott Bakula, Captain Archer's going to beam in and be like, "What? Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah."
But yeah, so there you go. That was the new answer. We've had 2 episodes in a row that are addressing holograms. At least they're trying, and every episode they've tried to address something, and sometimes multiple things. And so we'll see if that continues, or if they're gonna say, right, we did the first 5. Although these were still produced under the original 2nd season showrunners, but with heavy reshoots. I'm wondering if, because this episode was really hard to see what were the reshoots. I couldn't necessarily tell you. But I'm wondering if it was like the Canon fixing stuff that when Kurtzman came and said, yeah, we're going to need, guys, we've got to do something to try and get some sort of fan cred back. Let's rewrite these bits. Let's add, because I mean, number 1 could have, that didn't even need to be the start of the episode, so that could have just been an addition,
Yeah. Or just add a line here or there like they did in episode 3, where it's like these... A line explaining the hair, a line explaining this, a line explaining this. Just quick little add-ins, Anyway, looking forward to seeing where they go from here. They're on the right track as far as I'm concerned. Hopefully they keep it up. So, anyway, guys, until next time, please put your comments down below. Like, subscribe, do all that cool stuff. Check out our social media and all the links down below. Yes. And join us for some lives as well. Sammy's going to talk about that in just a second.
Yes, we do lives every week, a couple of times. Wow, threw me off there. So check out, we tend to put the lives, reasonably early in the day as a reminder. So if you think there might be a live that day, look on our YouTube page, go to the sort of home, and it says there's an episode, and you can just join that any part of the day, and then it'll turn on when it turns on, and there we are talking live. It's brilliant. We love the community. But that's one way of supporting the channel, both by watching and by super chatting. That really makes a massive difference to this channel. It really is the lifeblood at the moment. Or you can just donate via Patreon, which is a monthly donation scheme. Any little amount or any large amount makes a big difference if enough of you give, or a one-time donation at trekyards.com, because this is ostensibly our work, our job, and we love analysing, talking, theorising, and creating Trek conversations. We're not here to bitch or bemoan, but analyse. And most people, if any, don't think anyone else does analyse in this sort of depth and look at all the sub pieces, and we love doing it. It's we live and breathe this stuff, and it's fun to discuss. And every episode, I come in with certain points, and Stuart brings up things. I'm like, oh, I hadn't thought about that before, and it adds something new. So I really appreciate that. Hey, anything more to say, Stuart, or is that let's go on and film the next episode?
That's it. We'll see you guys soon, because we'll have more to talk about soon. Yeah. We like to talk about Trek, and it's just something we love to do. So we'll see you soon, guys. Until then, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Guns. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.